The American dream is under attack as it stands in opposition to government centralization. From a rising cost of living to a weakening society, government threatens to decimate the American ideal. Economic stagnation causes soaring inflation, interest rates, and energy prices. Plus, a widening cultural divide leads to a lack of community and crime spike. It is no wonder why so many Americans are feeling disillusioned by the current state of affairs.
Just 21% of adults say we are heading in the right direction, and once again, 3 out of 4 Americans say we are on the wrong track.
Many young Americans feel the possibility of the white picket fence and 3 kids slipping through their fingers. Through their anger, many search for who is to blame. Who is the boogeyman at the end of the road? But could our struggles be laid at your neighbor's feet, or worse still, yours? So what can we do to rectify our trajectory? In this video, we will explore our failings and how we can work to address them and live in a country we can all be proud of. The first phase of the government's plan to consolidate power is making life unaffordable. Every day, bills are harder to pay. That home repair isn't going to happen this year. The check engine light has been on for a month and you've never seen such expensive stuffing. Because we allow both parties to spend like drunken sailors, inflation is out of control. But the most important part of their plan is to make it seem as if everything they want to do has been our idea all along.
Hey guys, we are Allie, Dan, our 1-month-old daughter Maya, Piggy, and Huck.
We live in our van full time. Her name is Helen. Come check her out.
Because it's not their money to spend, it's ours. They spend with disregard for inflation.
Give me $500,000.
Because in the short term, it's a shiny new public program to pacify us with.
NIH spent almost $7 million of cancer research money to create an automatically flushing smart toilet. And here's the bonus. The toilet will actually take pictures of your derriere from the inside of the toilet bowl.
But they are leveraging our future for their present re-election bid. We do not have leaders of courage and conviction. We have babysitters placating children. So when they are finally forced to address the festering wound that is inflation, that they spent us into, they raise the interest rates, obfuscate responsibility, and pass the buck.
In addition to inheriting a failed MAGA Republican economy, we also confronted a global pandemic and Putin's war in Ukraine. And that's driven the global inflation we see today.
But then again, so do we, because we voted for them. We gave them this power, it's time for us to take it back. Oh, by the way, that first house you and I were both looking at, it's going to be a few more years. And if high inflation and interest rates weren't bad enough, energy prices aren't doing us any favors. The youth worry of climate change, and our politicians know exactly how to pacify the children. They maintain a facade of green energy.
No more drilling. There is no more drilling.
We aren't drilling here. We just asked dictators to heat our home. Pay no attention to that guy over there. And if you ever notice the hypocrisy, they'll say, "Shut up, don't you care about climate change?" And you stop asking questions. Because we'd rather feel better about our environmental impact than actually be better. We'd rather transport energy from a Venezuelan dictator than get our hands dirty and cut out all those carbon-heavy transportation costs. But out of sight, out of mind. So stop being pacified by slogans and keep asking questions. Won't we be better off focusing on our own energy independence and lowering energy costs for American families? Yes. Now that our spend now, pay later politics have caught up to us and we have successfully crippled our financial future through raging inflation, high interest rates, and support for a hideous dictatorial regime that does nothing to help climate change and only hurts Americans' pockets when we heat our homes or fill our cars, it's time to look inward at the mayhem we have reaped inside of our own country. Phase 2 of their plan, the divide and conquer agenda. Culture, community, and crime. If the first 2 break, the third will flourish, and the government will be right there to fill the cracks. So how do they break the culture? The current tactic of the day? Mass immigration. Because the ruling class know it is much easier to maintain a servant class if the people who would be militating against them lack a common culture, worldview, and language. How better achieved than by rapidly importing millions of people?
Our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
from nearly every country on earth, speaking every language imaginable, all with different cultures, customs, norms, morals, and societal frameworks, without the requirement or incentivization to assimilate to the American way of life, which begins with speaking a common language. And I don't just mean English. That should be a given. We must also agree on fundamental truths as the building blocks of society.
What is a woman?
If we can't agree on small-scale ideas, we have no hope for agreeing on large-scale concepts, like a shared American vision, an ideal to strive for. Even if we disagree on the particulars of how to achieve it, we must return to a bedrock of assimilation-based immigration in order to begin to do so. Without this necessity, people will live past each other, never harmonizing together to form a more perfect union. And without a common culture, creating community becomes futile. They want our cultural ties, societal contracts, and American vision weak, and their plan is working. Do you know your neighbors' names? Do you hold common values, or is their lawn sign the antithesis of everything you believe in? If you can't communicate with your neighbor, how do you build community? You can't, and that's exactly the point. Allowing the oligarchy to amass and consolidate even more power.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
The lack of communal cohesion removes the inherent loyalty between fellow countrymen, making them more likely to act poorly amongst each other. When you feel no loyalty toward neighbors, don't know them, have no relationship with them, and you have fundamentally different worldviews, what binds you together? Why would you help one another? And when you no longer feel a duty to help your fellow man, you dehumanize them.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed.
And it becomes easy to rationalize much worse.
That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Why not other them? Why not rob them? Why not kill them? The increasing crime rate will allow the government to centralize more power.
About the National Guard out here right on Hollywood Boulevard.
You will be willfully disarmed under the false premise everyone will be safer for it.
A gun buyback event in the city of Houston, where hundreds of gun owners queued up to hand over their firearms to police.
And once the deterrent of arms have been removed and the idea of community, a remnant of the past, the strong prey on the weak.
Yet another armed robbery, this one in broad daylight in one of the city's most upscale neighborhoods. The victim, a 70-year-old woman.
Become victimizers in their quest toward pleasure, as our rulers sit back and wait for the perfect time to save us. After we accept our disarming,
hundreds of firearms were handed over to the Santa Ana Police Department today as part of the gun buyback program.
They will offer us a solution to our lack of personal security. More authoritarian policing. We have made the trade of freedom and privacy for safety, and they hope we will make it again. We must resist the urge to do so and think differently. So how can we protect ourselves and our families from the siege on our American ideal? There are ways to develop the tools necessary to make a change. We must learn to think critically, stop using single-factor analysis, consider trade-offs and negative externalities, and try to steelman both sides of the argument. If you don't know what all these terms are, that's okay, because when I began this process, neither did I. I will go into detail on each and every one of these terms and frameworks for assessing problems and policies with examples in some very exciting videos coming very soon. But more simply, consider this basic proposition. Do I trust the government? No? Does the government know my needs better than me? No? Does this give the government that I don't trust and that doesn't understand my needs more power? Yes? Don't give them more power. And expand your range of thought by listening to podcasts, talk shows, and read, yes, real books. Hear all sides of an argument and really try to understand. This does not need to happen all at once. Set small and achievable goals for yourself, like reading one book a month. Find podcasts from across the political spectrum and inform yourself. Huge tip, try to listen at a faster playback speed to save time and stuff your brain. And make sure to subscribe and come back to the channel for frequent videos on all these topics and much more. Thank you and welcome. We need more thoughtful people like you.